Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jacob Modak. I'm a holistic health practitioner with the Czech Institute, and my primary focus is helping people heal from unresolved trauma in a holistic way. And the video that you're about to see is a recording of an in-depth coaching session that I did back in 2024. So that was 2 years ago now. It's 2026 as I am saying this. And it's with an amazing individual who has given their permission for this recording to be shared publicly. And I feel so I feel so humbled and grateful, and also privileged to have been able to um, hold hold space and to have been able to support them through what was quite a journey together. To be very honest, like essentially going from a a, a state of chaos to one of um I would call it transcendent awareness, like a real awareness of what the challenges were, but also an awareness of the steps that need to be taken and the things to actually do and the clarity needed to be able to transcend that, which is the foundation from which everything else stems from. I trust this speaks to you and helps you, and essentially can be somewhat of a healing artifact for you that you can have as a light, and also continue to return to and come back to. Um, and if you feel like you need this kind of in-depth support, this is exactly what I built my program for. So feel free to click the link in the description of this video, where you can find the link to schedule a call with me, where we can discuss what you're feeling challenged with and how I and the program can help, which is exactly what I designed it for. So with that, I'm sending lots of love, and now to the video. Can you hear me okay? Like how's
Yeah,
how's the sound and
yeah,
all the rest of it?
good. Can
Okay.
see you well, hear you well.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's great to be speaking again after a little while. Um how you doing for like setup, like quiet place with your stuff and all that?
Yeah, my kitchen table.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So I thought what would be good today, like as you mentioned, what you wanted to speak about. So I've got a kind of coherent structure to go through. But before we kind of get into all of that, I think what would be helpful is if you just let me know, like elaborate a bit more on how you've been feeling since we last spoke, just generally, and then we can sort of go over those sort of questions that I sent over, and then we can go into some other more specific stuff. But yeah, just fill me in general, like how you've been since we last spoke. So the
I feel
kind of chronology.
I kind of feel like I'm literally losing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like my train of thought is gone or something. It's like the blankness has only gotten exasperated.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm exhausted all the time. Sorry, my cat is up here on the table. And she's like playing with this. Here, we'll do this.
That's the universe saying, keep it playful. We can be serious, but we can keep it playful as well.
Yeah, she's so cute. But I literally feel like I'm losing my mind. Like I feel like I can't think. I feel like I can't focus. I feel like I can talk, I've done that the whole time. Like, even when I kind of felt like I couldn't come up with words, I was like, oh no, I'm going to have a conversation.
Yeah.
So I can still communicate, but it's very hard for me to access my mind and like being able to think internally.
Yeah. So the kind of current and truth of your emotions, allowing them to actually overtly be shown and integrated with your outward expression.
Right.
Would that be a kind of coherent explanation for it?
It does sound a lot like it, yeah.
Okay. So give me a little bit of a chronology, kind of maybe like a little rundown of sort of week per week from when we spoke that week, like maybe not exactly week for week, but just so I kind of have an idea of the chronology of how that time was between then to now. So that was great, like very helpful you sharing that. And if now you could maybe delve into some more specifics, maybe 2 week chunks or specific moments during that time.
I'm horrible at that, just so you know. My memory is...
That's okay. Just do the best that you
No.
can.
Okay. When did we speak last? Has it been like 3 weeks?
It was probably around about, I would say around about the month mark, something like that.
Okay.
Maybe a tiny bit, maybe a little bit beyond the month, so maybe around 5 weeks. I don't think it was as recent as 3 weeks though.
Okay. Jesus. I don't know. I really can't even remember.
Because when in our messages and also like with the like interactions in the group as well, which have been great, and I do it's been really lovely to see people interacting with each other in there as well. So every now and again with those prompts that I put up and people sharing, and just some of your messages as well. It seems like that, like you've been feeling in pockets, and then there's been, like you've come to moments where okay, actually that's not helping. Like you mentioned, alcohol was exacerbating something, and certain moments like you've been kind of having positive lights through things. However, it's still balancing both of those sides, but there's still been sort of like little bits of light that are peeking through the clouds, shall we say.
Yes, that's what it feels like. And I did not quit drinking, and it definitely does exacerbate things. It's not that I drink every day or anything. It's just even if I drink, because when I do drink, I like to like have a few. And so it just, for some reason, makes me feel more numb the next day.
Yeah.
But even so, like I didn't drink yesterday, and I woke up this morning like, oh my God, I don't want to get out of bed. And where's my brain? I can't think. Yeah. I can remember how I used to feel when I think about it, but feeling things in the moment is just not something that I always experience. Sometimes I can if it's like a big thing or something. It has to be pretty big in order for me to be like, holy shit. But it's like I think one of the things that I did was I stopped reacting to things like that were in my mind, like the scary and things.
Yeah.
But I stopped reacting to everything in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's because there's a difference between there's a difference between I feel this thing is present, it is this way, but ultimately it's not defining me. But that's one way, but then there's another way of, well, nope, no problem, nothing, zilch.
Yeah, and that's what
because and the two, again, like one of the things when we're really delving into these aspects of ourselves, it's really important is to understand that the golden core of all of these things is the system trying to protect itself and heal itself, and just ultimately it's coming from a loving place. It's not trying to be destructive. So however, like if someone tried to give someone a haircut but they had no training, even if their intention was, I was just trying to give you a really good haircut,
right?
It didn't exactly go the way that would be most optimal for that person. But so that's it's kind of similar here. Like this is where that the term awareness comes in. that's why awareness is a superpower, because if we're aware of how the why behind things and how things can kind of go a little off track or not, we're more able to regulate ourselves. And we're also able to be aware of the place from which certain things, even if they've gone off track, are coming from as well. So let's say there's two siblings that are very young, and one of them says, I don't like my hair, and the other one's like, I'll try and help you. Where's mum? I don't know, but I know where the scissors are. and then they kind of make a little bit of a mess. Like, she said she wanted bangs. It's like, well, you've chopped off half of her hair now, or something like that. The place from which it's coming from is not, I want to ruin your hair and make you look terrible. The attempt was from a place of love, and I want to try and help because you're my sibling and I love you and we're both 7 or something. But at the same time, there wasn't the awareness of how to do that effectively yet. Doesn't mean it can't be developed later, but it's an awareness that there's certain areas that are a bit unknown in terms of the optimal way to deal with certain things. But at the same time, it's really important to be able to see the place from which it comes from. So like with ourselves, even if things have gotten a little bit off track in terms of how we want to feel and our system feels a little bit, for some people it can feel like it's just completely crumbling. For other people it can feel, as you mentioned you're dealing with, a bit more numb. Like how it manifests is slightly less the point here than the place from which it's coming from, because what we were talking about, those two sides, one person feeling the full level of the emotion of a situation, however having the distance between their ego and their soul and wise self to be human and feel it. This is happening and this is really, really sad. However, at the same time, I understand that this doesn't have to define me totally. So it's the ability to be with the humanness without feeling engulfed by it. That's the kind of place that one can be when we're a little bit more aware and just engage with emotions in a more sort of explorative way. Like the more that we sort of study something with that kind of study brain, the more we understand something and the less nervousness we have about engaging with it. Like if someone who doesn't have the kind of training in dealing with hair that you do tries to give their best friend a haircut and something goes a little bit off track, they're probably going to have more of a panic than you would if something goes slightly off track, because they have no idea what they're doing.
Right.
And on the other side as well, if at present, and this is not a bad thing, if at present, so it's not a judgmental thing, the awareness to know how to deal with the situations is presently there, the amount of awareness and knowledge that one has, the system and ego will try to do its best with that, which sometimes can manifest in, okay, I can't deal with that, so nope, not dealing with it at all. Even though the humanness of us will feel things and it's there having been felt, however it's just been distanced and pushed down so far that the ego thinks it isn't there, essentially. But it's a case, in this situation, it's a case of just understanding what emotion is. Like emotion essentially as a word means energy in motion, and understanding the current perception we have of emotion and feeling, and then the deeper layers to that, like for example God and all the rest of it, which we talked about and we'll get into, and then bringing the light of consciousness to those perceptions and then seeing if those perceptions need to be rewritten for the present moment, and then how to do them. Because then when we can do that, then what's pressed down can be brought up into the light of consciousness to be felt, but it can happen because the ego doesn't feel like it's a threat anymore. Like its presence in the same space is not going to be damaging to the ego, but that's all rooted in perception as well. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So so just before we get into some specifics again, like in this time between when we last spoke and now, if you kind of had to draw sort of like a line that would represent the undulations or not of how you felt, would it be more sort of the same, like kind of like a flat line, or was it felt a bit better, then it went really, really down, or it just went really, really down and it's carrying on going down? How would you kind of...
I felt a little bit better, but then it went really, really down. Like it's
Okay.
really, really...
And your definition of really, really down, for example, how would you define that in your circumstance? Is it just not feeling, like is it numbing more, or because for other people it's like the anxiety cranked and it just went up and up and up, or...
My anxiety was definitely up there for a while, so I guess it went up and down. But now I don't feel any anxiety. I feel nothing.
Okay.
I feel nothing. I mean, nothing. It is so weird. Mm-hmm. Even like, although I shouldn't say that. Like sometimes I can feel things. Like I just had a therapy session and I felt really sad, but like only for a moment. It's like I can't hang on to my emotions. I can't hang on to my feelings anymore.
Yeah, and it's peeling. And again, like that question of what caused that, and then peeling back and back and back and find, like in that video that I made, like finding the sort of holistic domino line and seeing like what that root domino is and what the other events were in that chronology. Because I remember you mentioning, and you detailed in one of the responses in the group, because you do remember feeling and being a very feeling person, loving engaging with nature and just having that aspect. And then there was a sort of switch point when and fill me in the background as well, but when you're if I remember correctly, your son was in a car accident.
Yeah,
and that was the moment where it was just like
went downhill from there.
Okay. Just remind me, how long ago was that?
We're approaching 2 years.
Okay.
So that I started talking without feeling.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't allow my emotions to come into the conversation with me. It's like I pushed them down just so I could have an intellectual conversation and not cry.
Yeah.
Through it. So like that's when I suppressed. But then I did that with everything. So it wasn't just like the sad things; it was the happy things too. Like, so then I just feel like I've just become even more numb from that.
Yeah, and so what we'll be doing is we'll be speaking about the sort of chronology and the timeline and things like that, because there's a reason why a system or an ego will try and shut an emotion off, and there's a perception there, like the ego will have an idea of, if this emotion is present, then it means XYZ of me, or it means something. There's something that it has decided it doesn't want to deal with based on a current perception. Maybe it's, if I feel that, because I feel like it's my fault or something like that, or I did this, and if I feel that, it means that I am such and such. I can't handle that, so I'm not going to feel it. Or it can just be as simple as, if I feel and cry and all the rest of it right now, I don't feel like I can be effective. So I can't, and I need to be effective right now. For example, like some people that I've talked to that were coming out of narcissistic relationships, and there was a lot of abuse there, but there were kids present as well. They felt like there was a certain sort of numbing, because they needed to maintain a certain level of, well, I can't break down right now because I need to take care of them. So like it's not to judge any of these things, but it's to understand why, specifically understand why. And that's what the sort of detective work and the introspection is for. So do you have those colored pens and paper?
I do. Hold on, let me grab them.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. So we'll use that. We'll be using those in a little bit. So we'll do. What I'd like to do first is, the prompt questions that I sent over.
Yep.
If it would be, I think it would be helpful if we can just go over those briefly, and then we'll get into the specifics, because this goes on to the background as well, so I can ask a couple of questions. So the first one was essentially just understanding what your current definition of God is, that was communicated to you, or essentially like put into you. And we've spoken about this a decent amount the last time we spoke too, but if you can just sort of share that in your own words.
Okay, it's I wrote God is love but with conditions. That's kind of what I was taught.
Okay.
All conditional.
Okay.
Whether or not I'm good or bad.
Yeah. And what else is coming to mind? Like your current or the current definition of God, that one that was shared before. Like what other things are coming up? Maybe you didn't note them down, but what other things just off the top of your mind, or that are rising up that you feel are part of that definition as well? Like love with conditions, or so you just mentioned that. What other things? They can seem trivial, but it's all important.
I always felt like it was scary. Like the power, God's power, God's, like it all frightened me. That kind of stuff just scared me.
Yeah.
A lot of fear. There was a lot of fear surrounding the whole thing, where, the whole God is love thing was fine, but like, why are people having to sacrifice their children? Like that's scary too,
Yeah. And what was it a general sort of fear, or was there a specific fear? Like I'm afraid of doing something wrong and then I'm burning in hell, or?
Yes, I thought that I was a terrible person and I was going to hell.
Okay. And what did the people in your environment, and what age were you at this time?
I think
you told me it was 7.
7.
7?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So what other yeah, what a wonderful age to tell someone that. Yeah, it's not like 7-year-olds don't have creativity to inflate and expand a certain thing that you say. Yeah.
Okay.
So what things, like what was your perception of what hell meant at that?
The whole burning fire, right? Hell and broomsticks. It's kind of what I would imagine.
Fire or and brimstone? Like
being tortured, being tortured.
Okay. So, just like a pit of flames.
Yeah. That's how I would have imagined it.
And like demons torturing you, the whole 9 yards, all of the rest of it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the second prompt question was like, what are the aspects of you that were previously stamped as wrong or shameful that you felt made you a sinner? Like the aspects of you that intuitively you maybe thought, well, this is a part of me. I don't understand how this is wrong. I'm not trying to hurt anyone with this. But based on what they said, I now feel like I'm a such and such because of this. Like what aspects of you?
Definitely my sexuality.
Okay.
That was a huge one. So that's really been hard.
The fact that it's an aspect of just being a human, or the particular manifestation of it, just the fact that it's present?
Just the fact that it was there, right? And then like I had this intrusive thought that like God was watching me all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, right? Like, so everything that I did, I was being scrutinized over. Mm-hmm. So it felt like I had to be perfect. So all these parts of me that weren't perfect, or that I didn't feel were perfect, which were just me being human, almost like I exiled them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Were there any other aspects to yourself? Like someone did this and I feel the emotion of anger, but oh no, I can't feel anger. Like
Yeah. Yes, I wasn't allowed to be angry. Like I wasn't allowed to be proud of myself. I wasn't allowed to have my feelings because those were wrong.
Okay.
Essentially, my feelings were wrong about anything.
Okay. Were there any aspects that you felt did line up with their definition of what made you a good Christian, essentially?
No, because I felt like I wasn't good enough.
Okay. And how much of that definition do you feel as a kind of weight at the moment? Because obviously, like, as we get older, we're just by the neurobiology of our brains maturing, when we're around about the age of 25, our prefrontal cortex matures, and that's the part of our brain that allows us to rationally assess emotion. So essentially what that means is when that part of our brain is developed, when someone says something, that allows us the ability to say, is that true or is that just a pile of bullshit?
Right. I feel like when I was in my 30s, I was so afraid that it's almost like I couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I was so fear-filled that I was wrong, or like, and then I became very like, I wanted to know what everybody else believed. Well, what do you believe? Do you believe this? Do you believe that? Like, I couldn't trust myself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I couldn't trust myself.
Yeah.
I was taught not to trust myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this, and again, like this process of the introspection, as we'll get into, like we'll see that there's current perceptions, and then we'll be able to shine that light of consciousness onto those perceptions and then see, is it actually optimal to rewrite that? Like, is that actually true right now? And so okay, so that's quite clear, and I think that's also, like, what you just shared is quite common for most people that come from the more sorts of puritanical religious backgrounds, especially the Abrahamic religions. Those are similar points that felt, and I grew up in a similar Christian environment. It was less fire and brimstone in that sense, but there was definitely enough for me to just be having similar moments. But at the same time, there was a part of me that was just like, this just doesn't make sense. Like,
yeah.
I didn't feel like I personally didn't feel like the connection broke, but just the way that the way that I was told the connection was able to be made and only able to be made didn't make sense to me. So, and also, like, I think also with myself as well, because like I'm half English, but I'm half Indian as well on my dad's side. Although my dad, he didn't have a very pleasant childhood, so he kind of rejected the kind of Eastern interpretation of God and spirit, etc. But I didn't have a similar experience, so I felt, and also like when I was 16, starting Thai boxing, and with quite a traditional teacher, there was a lot of influence of Thai culture in my teenage years, because in Thailand everyone's Buddhist, and the Buddhist interpretation of God is very different to the Abrahamic interpretations of God, because also like India and Thailand and those cultures, their sort of religious traditions have endured for a lot longer than the Abrahamic religions. So like the Vedas and the mystical Indian texts, like the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads, etc., they were around thousands of years before the Bible. So I had a kind of connection to that, which I felt was allowed me to question, but because there was both sides, I definitely felt torn and confused in many respects, because like my younger childhood, before I got exposed to that and started looking into it, was more Christian.
Okay.
So that came in the sort of Eastern exploration came in my teenage years, but I had years of just being in a sort of Christian environment, surrounded by, in hindsight now, rather unhealthy people.
Yep.
And so all of that was just in there that I had to kind of go in and just really try and work through myself. So what you're saying definitely makes sense, and there's a lot of things that you felt I had felt before as well. Like the sexuality one, that's just such a big one for everybody who grows up in that kind of environment. Like it's and it's very nuanced as well, because too far one way, and we have the puritanical side, which makes someone feel like they're at war with their own humanness, and
That's
then
what.
yeah, and then if people swing too far the other way, where they grow up in that, and it's like, nope, none of that. If they go so far the other way, now they have now sexuality has no heart or love attached to it, and then essentially people become disposable pleasures, and then the use for loving sexual union, which is to connect with someone that you deeply care about in a really meaningful way, starts to get put aside. Now that doesn't mean people have to be married. It just means that people maintain the heart and emotion in the union, and also don't lie to each other about what's going on either. But you can get the two extremes where nothing is allowed, and then you get the extreme where everything is allowed, and there's no shame, but there's no responsibility either.
Right.
Where there's one side, there's so much shame and responsibility that it's almost like someone's in an energetic straitjacket, and there's no way to be human. So coming into that point of balance is understanding that a more sort of religious interpretation of being human means that we can't deny these aspects of ourselves, but at the same time, we can't just let it go to the point where now there's no responsibility, because then what we have is just that can devolve into narcissistic behavior, and then people's emotions and feelings are not taken care of, and that's suboptimal as well. That causes destruction on a different side. So that's like the guy who says something just to sleep with a girl, but then after he's done with her and whatever, he just kind of goes off. Or the woman engages in a relationship just to get something from somebody. Like, I'm not saying it, I'm just talking about principles here, but there's two ends of the spectrum. That's why the yin-yang symbol is so important, to have that balanced middle ground between the two. So the next prompt that I put was, what's little 7-year-old Jamie like? Like, who is she? Like, what does she enjoy doing? Like, not the one that feels terrified by the world as a result of what she was told, but like, what kind of essence does she have? Like, is she playful? Is she a bit shy? Like, does she like to draw? Does she like to ride her bike? Does she like to dance? Does she like to play music? Like, what kind of things about little 7-year-old Jamie come up? What came up when you were looking through that?
I was a very sweet little girl when I was 7, but I definitely was shy. Still wanted to be social, but was shy. I played with my brothers all the time. We were always outside. I think I've always been afraid of being in trouble. My dad was kind of abusive when I was little, and so I never wanted to be on the back end of his abuse. Yeah. As I grew older, he was not like that, but like, I didn't really live with him either. Most of the time I lived with my mom. Okay. Yeah, no, I was very playful. I loved to play. I love to be outside. I mean, I love all those things.
Yeah, yeah. And when you were young, was there a certain thing that interested you more? For example, like when people are 7, like maybe they're just really into drawing, or they're really into their dance classes, or they're really into their sport, or they're really in
Well,
like.
anything. I don't think that that was like a thing for us. I think I did do tap dancing lessons, but I didn't love them.
Mhm.
My mom loved me going to them more than I loved them.
Right.
I think I really just like to play with my friends and be outside, honestly. Like that was like, you know, come home when the street lights turn on kind of thing.
Yeah. 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 So, just always kind of felt connected to nature in that way.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you did mention that like there were a couple of camping trips in between, like the last time we spoke and now, so it seems like nature's quite a theme for you. And there's a giant flower on the wall behind you as well. So
Oh, wasn't that funny?
yeah. So okay, so that's really helpful. And like, so this next question that was the prompt was like, so what's adult Jamie like? Like, not the one that's feeling the presence of feeling numbed, but what's adult Jamie like?
Very bubbly, very outgoing, um, totally go getter, loves to help people. She is a boundless energy. She's always got energy. Definitely a talker.
Big heart. That's what comes through with me as well. Like just a huge, giant. I want to hug the world with love, kind of.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Kind of person.
I don't feel that way at all anymore.
And what you're finding, and because you're feeling like you want to cry at the moment, that actually means that like it hasn't gone anywhere. It's still
I
there.
tried that, but it's like I don't feel the pain of what it feels like. Like I can cry but not feel anything in my heart. Like everything feels blocked.
I understand. So, and again, like if we to give oneself a bit of grace, it's a case of understanding, being aware, and then and we'll get into technicalities because obviously, like it's all well and good talking about something, but then there's like, okay, now how do we actually do something? That's where the sort of real specific technicalities come in. And again, like it won't necessarily be like everything in one go, but all of these tools and things that we go through, the more they're engaged with, the more one reteaches oneself how to feel, and more importantly, that it's safe to feel,
right,
as well, because
yeah.
because especially in response to a traumatic event, if there's an event that goes so far beyond one's current capacity to hold space for and have a coherent narrative through, to the degree that one is overloaded, that's the level to which one's system will feel like, okay, well, I gotta just shut everything out because I can't deal with there's X amount of this already, and that's already too much. I can't deal with all the rest of it now as well. So, like, the analogy that I use, and like that I put in that future self PDF, one of the ones I probably sent earlier, it's like being able to handle something is being able to have a coherent narrative and understanding through what has happened. So the analogy I used in that is like a child burning their finger for the first time. If a child burns their finger on the stove for the first time, and that's the first time they've ever understood that something is hot and can hurt them, now they know that's a possibility. If that's the first time they've dealt with that, the response for a 2-year-old burning their finger is often quite extreme. Like, if an adult did that, it would contextually not make too much sense. But if a 2-year-old does it, because they don't understand what's going on, everything just goes crazy. And then But if an adult burns their finger in the same way, they're like, okay, well, I understand, I burnt my finger, ow, run it under some cold water, might blister for a bit, few days, it'll be alright. But the child doesn't know that, so what we see here is it's the distance between what has happened and someone's understanding of what has happened.
Yes.
And the thing is with that is that principle applies to everything. Now, in no way does that diminish the intensity of what's going on, because there are some things that are really intense, which is, so it's not to diminish that. However, that principle still stands. And the reason why sometimes a lot of confusion can come in if we aren't getting the coherent narrative from our soul as well as just the human ego-ness, is because a lot of things that happen, if we just look at them through human eyes, seem very illogical, and they can get exacerbated if like suboptimal perceptions of God are in there. Like, if this is happening, then it must mean I'm a sinner, and all the rest of it. Like, God's trying to punish me, so that exacerbates the situation.
Yeah, I definitely had that. God was trying to punish me, and the devil was after me.
And so like we can get into like what the devil voice actually means in a little bit later on. But the reason why it's really important to connect to our deep wise self in these situations as well is because sometimes things that happen that are awful on the human level, they're only able to be fully understood in a way that allows for coherence if we look at it from that place. Because when we tap into that aspect of ourselves, now we're starting to able to understand paradox. And unless we can understand paradox, we can't fully be conscious of something and be able to understand to be able to comprehensively understand how the incomprehensible is present in the world. And the Bible actually gives a really good example of this in Isaiah 45:7, which states, from the King James Version, I, the Lord, create the light and the dark. I, the Lord, create good and evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Now, one of the problems with the Bible in terms of how it was written is that, especially like the New Testament, it was written by people. It wasn't written by Jesus. That's one thing. It wasn't written by the dude that everyone's saying to follow. So the words we're reading are the words written by the people that were interpreting what Jesus said, as opposed to the dude himself actually writing it.
Exactly.
So they were at a certain stage of consciousness development that was very mythic at the time. So what that means is it is as it's written, not... So oftentimes people were confusing a connotation for a dictation, which is what Joseph Campbell talked about in terms of interpreting scripture. And what that passage meant is, in order for consciousness to actually exist, we have to have the potential of the light and the dark. So incomprehensible things can happen, but we can't. But that allows us to understand what the light means, because Earth, by default of this place, means duality. It means like if you have any light turn on, it hits a solid job. It will hit a solid object, and a shadow will be cast. We can't just have shadow or light in this reality. So that's like there's many different examples of this. for example, like, can you learn something without making mistakes? No.
Right. Absolutely.
Like, someone can't become a hairdresser without making mistakes. Like, it's too intricate, and hair won't always do what you want. I don't have that problem anymore, but
You're doing okay.
Pardon?
You look like you're doing okay with the hair department.
Yeah. I do my own hair. I do it pretty well. I don't need to pay anybody to do it.
It's so expensive.
Yeah. But for example, like, no one can do that without making mistakes because it's too intricate.
Right.
Like, hair won't always do what you want it to do, I'm assuming.
Nope.
So you have to learn, and just like in life, if someone's going to drive a car, by default, there's the potential for catastrophe.
Mm-hmm.
And just like if someone's in love, there's potential for heartbreak. But being able to understand how those two things are present, and we have a deeper wise self outside of that is able to observe all the humanness happening. Nope. I love it when animals are involved as well in the sessions as well. Yeah. If only there was a dog here, because dog backwards is God. That would have been quite ironic, but
I have a dog that's laying down right now, but the cats and the dog have been competing over stealing the ornaments off of the tree.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god! So like crazy. All you hear is like ornament balls rolling around the
Yeah. But being able to understand both of those sides, that's the place to bring to any situation, because then when that aspect of us can be the one that's predominantly observing the situation and defining the perception of the situation as the ego is feeling, because the ego knows that aspect of ourselves is present, and that's the truth of us. And I'm going to get into specifics with this in a little bit. Then the ego doesn't feel like it needs to shut down in a protective mechanism if catastrophe hits, because it knows that it has the permission to be human, and it's important to feel, because the grief and sadness and pain, it doesn't mean we're defined by it, but that definite feeling and honoring of our humanness without engaging in it in a way where we allow it to define us, and then we feel like we're broken from the situation, that allows us to connect deeper to the person that has gone through that, and it allows us to connect deeper to ourselves and be more wise and informed, and then be able to share that wisdom in going forward in our life as well. So there's always a golden aspect to it. And as my Thai boxing teacher told me when I was about 18 and I broke my hand, so you could probably see there's like a scar on my hand there. So that was the one and only time I've lost my temper, and because it just went really sideways, I've had a pretty good reminder to not lose my temper. It was very important as well in the aftermath to allow myself to feel like I wasn't wrong for feeling. I did feel like that for a while, but I've done enough work now to understand that that's not the case. But in terms of allowing it to cloud me and then do something that isn't optimal, I've managed to allow that to be the one and only time. And one of the things that my teacher told me when I told him, because I was 18 at the time and he was like in his late 40s at that time, so he was like he's just so much more developed than I was, because I was just very confused at the time, as most 18-year-old guys are. in many respects. He told me, Jacob, sometimes the most painful things in life teach us things we can't learn any other way.
True.
But at the same time, the lesson can't come if we don't have the permission to feel what we're feeling.
Well, that's kind of what I did, because I was like comparing myself to how I should feel.
Yeah.
Or how I felt prior to before, and that's like, right, but that's how I feel now. Mm-hmm. But then I was judging myself based off of my feelings.
Yeah, and this is where the more sort of, because we've been talking about things at this moment, but this is where the technicalities of what to do and how comes in terms of like jigging wires about in here, so to speak. So I think that would be helpful to move into. So the first thing that I would like to do before we do that is, if you get your blank piece of paper,
okay,
and I'm going to do this with you as well.
Okay.
So the first thing, so we're going to be doing it together. So the first thing, and it won't be too long, and the whole point here is to just draw and colour like a child. So there's no right or wrong, and there's no judgment.
Okay.
It's just instinctual. So what I'd like you to do is just draw a circle, kind of like the size of the paper, so just kind of to the boundaries of it. So just draw a circle, and then to one side just put a little title, how I feel right now. And just whatever shapes, colors, designs, whatever comes up, just put that in the circle. The circle doesn't need to be a perfect circle. Just whatever shapes, colors, just whatever comes up. And we won't spend too long, but we'll take a little bit just so that expression can happen. And don't just think about this as pure expression. Just turn your mind off and just let what wants to come out. Just let your body decide. And it's just about expression. So there's going to be no judgment of it. So just turn any sort of thought about what it is or how it is, just turn that all off and just let it flow. And just whatever colours. So we'll do this for a few minutes and then we'll get into the other technical things. So did you used to draw or colour a lot as a kid?
I did. A lot, actually.
Was it like, was it like projects, or were they kind of like little doodles, or did you really like spend some time on paintings and things like that
doodles.
as well?
Doodles, but when I was in my 30s, I painted.
Okay.
A good painter.
What particular things did you like to paint?
Always like backgrounds.
Landscapes?
Yeah.
Coming back to nature. We're finding a theme here.
I love nature. Okay. What else do I put in a circle? Whatever that I used to do, or whatever makes me happy.
Put whatever you want in there. How you feel right now.
How I feel right now. Oh, I see. Now how I feel right now. Well, I don't even put anything in here.
But at the same time, because what you're saying is coming up, that is actually part of it. Because here's the other thing. The ego can't defend against art, because to do art, your right brain has to be active. So here's the thing: what actually comes up is actually how you feel. Because when we were doing it, you were just kind of flowing, and then when I was like, right now, it was like, oh, I probably should put nothing in here. That's what your ego thinks. That's a left brain perception as well. So what we're trying to do is just allow your instinct to showcase the truth of what's there.
Okay. Alrighty.
So you think about it like there are people that believe the Earth is flat.
Yep.
You can kind of think about it in a similar way. Like the ego can have an idea or a perception that it's kind of got an entrenched position about, but it's not actually true. Like someone can bully another child, and that child thinks the perception of what the bully said, but the parents of that child, who sees how beautiful that child is, knows that that's not ultimately true.
Right.
It's a similar thing energetically. So just allow instinct to put in there what actually feels genuine. Because how I feel right now, that is an instinctual thing. Feeling is an instinct. Feeling is not what your ego decides it is.
Right.
And that's the key point. Because the truth is as well, if you could not feel anything, you wouldn't actually be able to draw anything.
Well, not drawing anything nice.
That's also a judgment.
Okay, I'm good at that.
Again, not to judge it, just bringing some awareness to it. But this is all about expression. We don't need to judge it. That's the whole point.
Okay.
Because that would be like a classical realist saying that Picasso, Van Gogh, and Klimt are not very good painters, because like their proportions aren't exactly replicating and representing what a human form is. But they're impressionists. They're being more expressive in a certain manner. So it's not objective black and white like that. And this is also important because this teaches one's inner space to have the freedom to feel the way that is natural to being human. There are other things that we'll get into after this, but we're just priming the space. Right. So, okay. We can alright, we can leave that one there for now. So, do you want to hold it up? I'll show you mine. So that's what came through for me.
Oh, very nice.
At the moment. So I just had these images of two hearts connected in opposing shapes.
Okay.
Surrounded by red. And so a green heart and a violet heart. And we can talk about what the colours represent in terms of the chakras themselves. But that's less important at the moment.
Here's mine. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, lovely. Nature.
Yeah, so this is night, this is day. I feel like I'm more in the night, and I drew the flat line because that's kind of how I feel. And I'm sitting on the beach alone, sad.
But it's interesting. You see the line going through the sun?
Yeah.
The sun started to peek through the line already.
That's true.
So if you look at the line, the sun's not completely on the other side of it.
No.
So there's a blending of both starting to happen.
I hope so.
Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're just going to do some, let's get into the exercises. So have you got an empty chair near you?
Yeah.
So if you just set it up so you can look at it, maybe so you're just off slightly at an angle.
Okay.
So what we're going to do an exercise. The mechanism's going to be the same essentially, but there's going to be 3 slightly different feelings to them. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put something in the empty chair, not literally, but in a way literally, but not in terms of like a tangible thing. But what gets put in there will vary, but there's a specific order. But there's a reason for that order. So the first thing for this is if you look at that chair,
Mm-hmm.
and what I'd like you to visualize it being in that chair is your deep, wise self, your soul.
Okay.
And just to give a little bit of background of what soul means, from my current understanding, Carl Jung's definition of soul is each person's individual and individuated aspect of God. If God is too charged a term for you, you can change it to one that allows you to feel calm. You can change it to universe, you can change it to unconditional love, you can change it to cosmos. Whichever one allows you to feel held by a stable, enduring, loving presence that has no conditions to it. So I'm very aware that word can have a lot of suboptimal associations attached to it for someone. So change it if you need to.
Okay.
But that and soul as an acronym, this isn't my acronym, but this is another practitioner's, but soul stands for source of unconditional love. And what that aspect of us is the conduit to the flow of source. Source is what everything came from. It is love without conditions. That is what it is. And when our ego connects to that aspect of us, it doesn't need to think about what that is, because the knowing comes as a result of the felt experience.
Yes, for sure.
And because the anchoring and identifying with that happens, the ego also knows that the expansion of love and the potential for the expansion of that love has no limit. So whatever we're dealing with, whatever amount of pain we have yet to process and metabolize and feel fully, the ego doesn't need to be scared of that, because no matter how intense it is, or whatever level it is, it can't get to a level that can overcome the expansion of the love it's now connected to, because there is no limit to that expansion.
Okay.
And in that space, then we have the ability to, if someone needs to forgive themselves, they can forgive themselves. Again, I'm not saying it's easy, but these are this is setting the preconditions and the environment and the alignment for those things to be able to happen. And it's really important for this to happen first, because if the ego is, because like another analogy that you may have heard me use, trauma or what's unresolved is like the residue stuck to the outside of the statue. Our truth of who we are is that soulful essence, like the beautiful statue covered with mud.
Yeah.
The beautiful statue doesn't stop being a beautiful statue even though it's covered with mud.
Yeah, no.
What's unresolved is the residue on the outside. But if the ego is identified currently with the residue, it will resist doing the work to shed it, because it will feel like in so healing, its existence will be cleaned off at the same time. And that's scary for the ego. But as it identifies with this deep, soulful aspect of ourselves, which doesn't go anywhere, and it's what endures after the body ceases, and it's what passes on. Energy can't be destroyed; it can only be transformed. And that's the aspect of us that endures. And because of that, the ego doesn't fear the feeling of what needs to be processed as a potential oblivion. So if you look at that chair now.
Okay.
And just place your hands by your sides or in a comfortable position. Just however you feel comfortable, so that you feel like your body isn't tense, or it just is in a comfortable position. And just slowly start breathing it through your nose. Keep your mouth closed, tongue pressed to the roof of your mouth. A few seconds in, a few seconds out. Expanding the abdomen for the first 2/3 of the breath, the chest the last third. And just visualize your soul in that chair. And just start feeling that presence. The soul is that conduit, that flow of unconditional love from source. It's love without conditions. And that's the truth of who we are. And that aspect of us never went anywhere. So what I'd like you to do, and everyone's soul has the answers to their problems. What they don't know, it has the answers. So what I'd like you to do, look at that chair, visualize your soul in that chair. And any questions that you have that you don't know the answer to, that you want to know the answer to about what you're going through, about feeling, about processing what happened to your son, about engaging with nature again, about God, all of it, I'd like you to ask those questions to your soul using a second person perspective, as if someone was there.
Okay.
So for example, I don't know the answer to this, can you tell me? Like using that word you. Are you real? What does God mean? Etc. Ask whatever questions you need. And this is about emptying yourself of who and what you think God is currently, or what the situation about all of these other things is currently. So the truth of God and the truth of the situations has the space to actually be felt and known.
Okay.
So visualize your soul in that chair and feel that presence. Feel that stable, loving presence. And whatever questions you have to ask that you don't know the answers to, you want to know the answers to, ask.
Okay. You want me to ask them out loud?
Yes, if you feel comfortable doing so. It would be better if you vocalize them.
Okay, because I've asked them in my head, so it's like one of the things that I asked was, how do I
direct it as if you're speaking and having that conversation. Take your time, speak slow, and feel every word the very best that you can.
Okay. How do I allow myself to feel in my body?
Keep your breath slow and feel it all the very best that you can. And you can repeat the question a few times if you need to. Say it with as much feeling and meaning as you can. So repeat it one more time.
How do I allow myself to feel in my body? And all I heard was, open up your heart. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I do feel really closed off. Very guarded.
Ask that question. And then take the position of your soul and answer again.
Ask what, the same question?
It could be a follow-up. Why am I so guarded?
Okay.
Is it because of God? Whatever questions you don't know the answers to. And speak slow. Deliberately space out the words a bit and feel them as much as you possibly can.
Okay. Why am I so guarded? Fear.
And what am I afraid of?
What am I afraid of? The unknown in feeling. Because it's hard.
But is that something to be feared?
No.
Ask that question.
Is that something that I should be afraid of? And I hear, of course not, you need me.
What's the truth of God?
What is the truth of God?
Now tell your soul the definition that you were given and ask if that's true.
I was given that God is love, but it's conditional. Is that true? No.
So now say and ask, this is what I felt based on what I was told. I'm not allowed to be me, whatever words you want to use. how do I heal that?
Okay. Oh God, I forgot your question.
Don't worry. God already knows.
What was your question?
Well, it was your follow-up question. So it was. This is how I was taught to feel about myself because I thought God had conditions. How do I heal that?
This is how I was taught to feel about myself.
And then state what that is.
To humble myself, to stay quiet, to
talk about sexuality, talk about the anger, talk about all the other emotions, the joy, the pride, whatever. Just detail it all.
Okay. To not be proud of myself or even my own children. To not be angry because that was sinful and horrible. Do not enjoy my sexuality, but be ashamed of it. To only hang out with like-minded people who thought the same things, which were not the way that were my way of thinking. It was to hang out with the church people who thought their ways of thinking and to just basically abandon my own. That I was wrong for being adventurous and fun and maybe a little naughty at times because that had to have been some sort of devil in me. How do I move on from that and heal from that?
Take the position of your soul and answer that question. And you'll feel these words rise up from below your neck. The words won't be cognitive in your head. Feel them rise up.
Okay.
Turn your mind off and let your body raise the words up.
I kind of felt the word grieve. I needed to grieve.
Yeah. It's allowed.
I think it's needed.
It's human. And to grieve requires one to open their heart.
Yeah, I had a friend tell me that I didn't have a good heart. That was lovely.
Yeah, I can tell. Like you've got like how far and wide the love in your heart can reach is immeasurable. And just based on what you and how you said the words being proud of your children, the magnitude of the love and pride that you have for your children is incalculable.
It's true, I just wish I could feel that again.
And you already are. You do. And you're allowed to. Now, ask your deep wise self, your soul, how you can process the situation that happened to your son.
How do I process my son losing his legs? And being so burned? How do I process all of that? I heard with love and compassion.
Yeah. And not just for him, but for yourself as well. So now to state and say to your soul all the aspects about that situation that you're having challenges with right now. And maybe for you, you feel like it's your fault. Maybe for you, you feel like you're responsible in some way. I'm not saying what it is. Whatever you feel is challenging about that situation specifically.
I feel like I haven't been there enough for him, because I've been lost in my own shit. I feel like he's going through so many things, and I have only thought of a fraction of them. Feel scared for him. Because we don't know what the outcome is yet of his circumstances with the courts. I feel somewhat responsible because I'm a very open-minded person when it comes to alcohol and drinking, but is there something I could have done differently that would have prevented it?
So now ask, how do I address those things within myself so that I can show up the best I can for myself first, which will allow me to then show up the best I can for him.
Okay. I keep hearing the answers though before I even ask the question.
Well, you're pretty tapped in.
I know. And I've already forgotten what you said. Sorry.
How do I address these aspects within myself first so that I can then show up the best I can for him?
How do I address these aspects within myself so I can show up better for him? I keep hearing you gotta give to yourself and feel.
Yeah. Because one of the things that anybody in a really challenging situation will be going through is understanding how to make sense of what has happened. Because what has happened has happened. And people are only stuck in what has happened to the degree that they are not able to make meaning out of it. The meaning that someone has made out of a situation is contextualized to their understanding of it, the lessons they've learned, the wisdom they now have that they wouldn't have had if the situation had not happened, which doesn't mean that we don't feel the pain of something happening. However, no matter what situation happens, there will be wisdom from it. And then that is something that can be taken into the next phase of life and inform it in some way that's authentic to that individual. And the degree of light and love that is made in that next phase of life being informed by what's been learned from the previous, no matter how dark it is, that allows for that expansion of love, that river flow of love from the soul to expand out and touch the rest of the world. And there's no limit to the expansion of it. And as it expands, it goes beyond the level of night, as per your mandala, that was gone through. And that stops people being trapped in what had happened before. Because what they have learned and understood as a result of what has happened, and cried through it all, and said sorry if they felt like they needed to, and gone through the humanness of feeling the pain of it all, but also understanding that there are lessons and wisdom here that can help going forward. And I'm not saying what that has to look like. That's for each individual to decide for themselves. That allows for the individual to not be trapped in what happened. And so you being able to do that for yourself and embody what that looks like is one of the greatest gifts you can give him. Because it doesn't matter essentially what someone says, more than how someone can embody what is being said.
Right.
So you being able to come to this integration within yourself, where you understand what that process is of coherently comprehending what was previously incomprehensible, means you can be that light in the space for him if he is still in the mosh pit of it. And you can be there right next to him and hold his hand and cry with him. But at the same time, you are an example of knowing that process. And I'm not saying it has to look a certain way. But one of the greatest gifts that we can just give someone is presence, embodied in the way that the individual would like to get to. So it's all, and in those situations, words are almost second, because
Right.
someone can see and feel that someone already is, and that
Right.
in itself is sometimes light enough. Words aren't even needed sometimes. They can just sit there next to someone, or holding their hand if they need to, or just stroking their head without words, and the energetic exchange says everything that's needed sometimes. And that in itself is enough to be the balm, because no matter what physical aspect of us is no longer present, the soul is still there in full force. not just yours, but his as well.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I've lost my own. I do feel that way sometimes. Just because I feel so empty.
It's very clear that yours hasn't gone anywhere.
It's just hard, like, I could feel those things welling in me for sure, but like then it goes back to nothing again, and it's
this is
so
like this is because the other thing, like, now this is where we get into the humanness. We have the embodiment aspect of it. This is the perception calibration, and then comes the humanness of the habits, and that teaches the nervous system to know and embody the new perception we now have, which we'll get onto. I'll explain this later on. So so do you feel like there are any other predominant questions? Because so whichever ones any questions that you don't have that you feel are still unanswered, we're going to go through those before we move on to the next one.
Okay. But I already asked it in my head and I already heard it.
Feel free to share.
I have this, I don't know if I told you this, but I literally had some lady tell me that she could see the devil in me, and I had let him in because I wasn't Christian.
Right.
I was hearing voices.
Right.
So I was terrified. That has been a constant thing. Then there was this like thought in my mind that like, oh, I was coming back and the devil was going to be me, and like I was like basically like it was stupid. It was crazy. Like I was coming back as the devil, but it was like taking over me, who I was, but I wasn't going to realize that it wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? It was like this weird perception in my mind. And that when I say I am, a lot of times like that will creep in. And I'll be like, no, that's not true. Like I have to constantly go back and do that.
When you told me that the last time we spoke, what I noted down at that time, and what kind of came up for me, was that sort of devil voice to me can sometimes more just be the ego being a voice actor, trying to scare someone into behavior that it thinks will keep it out of God's wrath, essentially. So like it's the point is it's not true.
Well, I know it's not true, but it's like it's annoying. It's an annoyance. Like I don't want to have to deal with that anymore, but I know that I may still have to deal with that for a while.
Well, this is also where this process of the empty chair, that mechanism, what it actually is taking the perspective of what is slightly disowned. So there's a mechanism to it, but I'll explain technicalities a little bit later, and the reasons for it. But so you mentioned what was the question, and what came up?
The question was, how do I stop having that thought come into my head, or how do I stop that from happening? And it was my like belief. That's what I heard, belief. I think I doubted a lot of things for a long time, especially myself. I doubted everything about myself. Mm-hmm. I still can't. I think the most painful part was that I doubted that I was loving at all, because I couldn't feel anything. That was pretty traumatic for me.
As someone who clearly has such an enormous heart.
Yeah, it was really hard. And then like I got to a point where I would be talking and I wouldn't even believe what I was fucking saying. I was doubting what I was even saying. It was so weird. And that went on for so long.
Yeah.
That's gotten better. But like everything's kind of gotten a little bit better when it comes to that kind of shit with like my thinking sometimes, but then like now I feel like I don't have much going on upstairs, right? Like I can consciously think, like I have to really bring awareness into it, but like free flowing thoughts, those are sort of, I mean, they are there, but they're very few. They're very few. It's like, you know how your mind just talks and you're just sitting there listening to it. It's constantly going. Mine doesn't do that. It's almost like I feel like I've lost the narration in my mind. So most of the time I feel alienated. I forget things. I feel distant from things. Like, it's hard. Really fucking hard.
Yeah. But just how any act of light creates a shadow of equal intensity, the intensity of which the night is for you at the moment, means by default of that law of nature, there is an equal light counterpart of equal intensity, at least, connected to it that you can reveal.
Okay.
And that is a fact of how this existence works. We cannot have one without the other.
True.
So it's not like if we're in the shit, the law doesn't also mean the law doesn't exist. Like, okay, it's going great now, but it could go terribly. Oh, it's going terribly, it can't be great. It doesn't work like that. It's balanced on both sides. When we're in the light, we have the potential for all the destruction. And when we're in the shit, we have the potential for all the light at the same time. They are absolutely connected.
Okay.
And it's not something to get to, because it never left. It's just a case of re-revealing. As we're doing here, it's just teaching, reteaching these aspects of us that are a little bit distanced and a little bit fragmented to be reintegrated and feel safe to bring all of that light back up. So, questions about how to do that. If you aren't sure how to actually do this, how do I feel again? How do I anchor this in tangibly each day? If you're not sure about that, ask that as a question as well.
Well, you said, I was listening to you and all I heard was allow it. Like I didn't allow my own feelings to come into my body. Like I blocked them somehow. I remember doing it. I remember being so scared to feel things in my body that I was like, no, and just blocked it somehow.
And what age was that memory?
This was probably like a year ago.
Okay.
A year and a half ago.
Where were you and what were you doing and what had just happened?
I was in therapy. I can't remember what we were talking about. But whatever we were talking about, I was like so afraid to feel it in my body that I like blocked it. It could have been a good feeling, like even loving feelings. Like I was afraid to feel any feeling in my body.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why this process starts with anchoring to that soulful aspect of us first. Because when the ego first knows that the truth of love is without conditions, then what comes after that is allowed. It doesn't mean we hang on to it, it doesn't mean we don't evolve it, but we're not wrong for it being present in the current moment. Let's say someone did something and someone got hurt and they feel like they were responsible, or someone feels ashamed of something. Those things are brought up second. The ego isn't afraid of bringing them up because its identity and definition is with soul first.
Okay.
So it doesn't feel like those things are its definition. Now again, like this aspect of things is very complex. And notice I use the word complex, not complicated, but there's lots of layers to it. So it's very nuanced, and there's consistency as well. So it's a process, it's not a pill. But at the same time, like the fundamental perception shifts can happen very, very prominently through doing these things in a relatively short amount of time, and then one has an understanding of the tool, and then it's a tool for life as well.
Okay.
So like this exercise I do all the time. I check in daily. Not necessarily it's always like this. It can be, you can do it on paper as well, or you can just do it in your head, or you can just feel that presence there as well. Sometimes I do it like this if I've got like a big thing that I'm unsure about. Sometimes I'll just write it out, and sometimes if it's just a day-to-day thing, I'll just take a moment, shut my eyes, just breathe, and just feel that presence there, and just say thank you. But it's a tool for life, and that's the key thing here. So it's not. So I want to make sure that when we conclude these particular things, you're clear on them, so you now have them as a tool as well.
Okay.
So, do you feel like there are any other questions, or do you feel like there's that sort of like energetic conclusion to this particular aspect?
No, I think that was good. I think that those were the things that were really bothering me, and that I just didn't understand.
And it's the main thing is just feeling the truth of that presence there.
Right. I'm trying to. That's difficult, but I'm trying to.
Again, like think about it like thawing ice.
Okay.
Think about your soul giving you a hug. Think about it being warm, and think about like yourself just having a little bit of ice around you. Ice doesn't melt immediately, but it does melt.
Yeah, it takes a minute.
It does. But at the same time, when you bring warmth to ice, it eventually thaws.
Yep.
It's a similar principle here. You want to feel that warmth presence there. And just allow your ego to identify that as its truth. This is who I am. I'm allowed to be me. It's safe to be me. That's the truth of God. Empty yourself of who and what you think God is. So the truth of God has the space to be known and felt. Because what's known and felt is that warm embrace that will allow the ice to start melting. And that's the key. The perception of what it was, what God was, is a perception that is not actually yours. Because that was theirs, as opposed to them saying, that's just how I see it, but you're free to make your own choice. Do you agree?
Right.
But you have the space to do that.
I was so afraid not to do that. I was told that I had to believe everything they told me or I was going to hell. Pretty wild.
Not uncommon. Still very wild, but I understand.
Yep.
So if there are any questions about God or that aspect of things that you still have, ask them. About like allowing yourself to take off the energetic costume or the energetic drag. Like, yes, I'm here. God's not going to burn me in hell. It's fine. I'm here. World, I'm here. This is me.
Right. I think when you said that I needed to like feel the way that I felt, that made me feel better. Like I could actually somewhat feel that. Yeah. I'm trying. I feel mostly things in my mind, but I felt that a little bit in my body.
So focus on that. Whatever cognitive understanding is there, just for now turn that off. Just focus on that little ember that you felt. Think about it like X amount of ice is around someone has now been thawed, and so now someone's hug has now in one particular spot just gotten skin to skin. In that particular spot, there's no ice in between the skin to skin contact. And you can feel that little touch of warmth. And that's the presence of the soul. And the more you just stay with that, the more it will thaw that everywhere.
Okay.
Trust it and just stay with it. And for that little bit that you felt, just say thank you. And tell your soul that you're ready for more. I trust you. I trust you.
I trust you.
And thank you for always loving me.
And thank you for always loving me.
And letting me know through feeling that I was always enough.
And letting me know through feeling that I was always enough.
Just how I am.
Just how I am.
Just stay with that presence, that feeling, that skin to skin, soul to you. Just wherever that point is, maybe it's in your heart, maybe you feel it in your stomach, maybe you feel it on your shoulder, wherever it is, stay with that. And now just keep saying thank you, and that you're trusting enough now to allow it to permeate everywhere. And now just see it expand. Just vision it and feel it as a radiant, warm energy just wrapping you up in love without conditions. And feel how true it is. It doesn't have any hidden agendas. Just re-establish that connection. It's a re-revealing. like any relationship, not too much, not too little, just consistently holding hands the whole time, going forward. Not smothering, but not being distant. And feel how safe it is as well. This part of you is always there to connect with at any single moment. And this is where the ego learns that no matter if there's no one around, we're never alone.
True.
So how's that feeling now?
I'm back to feeling nothing again. But it doesn't feel as bad.
And like I said, ice doesn't thaw in a blink of an eye.
Right.
It's consistency. Like this is a tool for life. This is a consistent thing. So the main thing here is an anchoring of presence. I know that aspect of me is true. One's conscious self anchoring to that soulful truth. So we're going to go into the second aspect now. So
okay.
What I'd like you to do is just, the mechanics will be the same, but there'll be slight difference, which I'll talk you through. But you, sitting in the chair now, I'm going to refer as Big Jamie, engaged and anchored in with her soul now. Like part of the feeling is also related to the nervous system. So just because you felt a bit and then it went back, remember we've got the somatic side. We need to do the daily work, habits, to teach the nervous system and the body that it's also safe to feel what we now know is safe to feel too. So don't worry if it's like, okay, now I'm back. The body needs to catch up too. So that's where the daily habits comes in. So don't worry about that. Just how like after someone has had an injury, physiotherapy and re-education of walking and movement patterns, etc., and takes a little bit of time. It's a similar thing energetically in terms of the interaction with the nervous system. The nervous system's designed to keep us safe in nature. But it takes a little bit of time to rewire it somatically so that the new perceptions that we now know to be true are permeated and anchored in physiologically to every single cell. And that's the daily consistency, that's the habits as well. So it's a combination of both, but there's an order for them.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, because you can kind of think about it like if someone's standing straight up, and we can think about the perception shift as like their heads moved. The nervous system catching up as their feet moving afterwards as well. So people can feel slightly off center, but there is a period where it feels like the body itself has to catch up. But it starts with the perception calibration primarily, which is what we're doing. So now what I'd like you to do is just slow your breathing down. But you sitting in the chair now, your Big Jamie, who has made connection with her soul and deep wise self. So that aspect of you is there. So now, in the empty chair, like you to open your eyes, look in the empty chair, and see little Jamie sitting in that chair. However old she is, perhaps based on what we talked about, she's 7.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever she's wearing, whatever her posture is like, whatever she's feeling, I'd like you to imagine her, little Jamie, in that chair. For some people, it's a very visual thing. They can really visually see that aspect of themselves. For other people, they just feel a real presence. It's not better or worse either way. It's just whatever it is for that person. That is absolutely fine. So I'd like you to visualize little Jamie in that chair.
Okay.
And before you, Big Jamie, speaks, what I'd like you to do is take the position of little Jamie and let her say whatever she wants to say that she wasn't able to say, and express herself in any way that she was not able to express herself.
Okay.
It doesn't need to make sense, just whatever she wants to say and however she wants to say it. Take the position of little Jamie and allow her to express herself.
Okay. She's saying that she wasn't bad.
Use the first person pronouns of I.
I wasn't bad.
Speak slow and feel every single word the best that you can.
I was never bad. Why did you reject me? Oh, you got something going on over there. Because my dog heard it.
It's the sirens outside.
So funny. It's gone crazy.
Just let her speak. Using that first person pronoun. Using the word I.
There, stop it. There. I just wanted to have fun. That's what I do.
Just let her express herself freely.
Okay. I wanted to feel important and loved. I didn't want to be seen as bad. Why didn't you listen to me?
Just ignore the dog. Just stay with her.
Okay.
Speak slow and feel.
I only wanted to love people. Wanted to help people. never to hurt anyone, including myself. I can see her in my mind holding my hand, telling me it's okay.
That's Big Jamie holding little Jamie's hand.
Yeah, except she's consoling me.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a second. Keep letting her speak. Keep visualizing holding hands.
She's holding my face.
And what she's saying.
I forgive you.
Yeah.
She's saying it's not my fault. I felt like it's been my fault the whole time.
Yeah. So if there's anything else that little Jamie wants to share and say it with that first person pronoun.
I don't think so.
So come back in as Big Jamie, anchor back in, and respond to everything little Jamie said. Big Jamie connected to her soul. And then there might be a mix here. There might be part of Big Jamie telling little Jamie, you're always safe because I'm here and we've gotten through it. And you don't need to be afraid of God the way that you thought. And there might be also a mix of little Jamie, like you were saying, holding Big Jamie's face and saying, I forgive you. And just wanting to hold hands forever going forward. And that spark of love, that loving magic that all children have, that's the core of who you are. Just allowing this little Jamie, allowing that loving presence to come back in. So there can be a mix between Big Jamie holding and keeping little Jamie safe, and little Jamie allowing Big Jamie to feel again.
Okay.
So whatever you feel the dialogue is, speak from the position of Big Jamie first.
Okay. So I say you.
At this moment, yes. Bring her in with love, the way any loving big sister would.
You are so beautiful and worthy of love. You never had to be perfect. You just had to be you. You never had to be afraid of God. I know that that's what was instilled in you, but you didn't have to be afraid.
And I know that because I know our soul.
I'm sorry that I couldn't protect you at the time. I'm sorry I was so afraid.
But I've got you now, and we're holding hands forever. And you're always safe with me.
But I got you now, we'll hold hands forever. You're always safe with me. You can be silly and weird and funny and angry and hurt.
And feel everything.
And feel everything again. It's okay. Okay. You gotta feel to heal.
Yeah. And that's something you said the first time we spoke as well, which is beautiful.
Yeah. It's true though.
So now take the position of little Jamie. If there's anything else that she wants to say, maybe she even has some advice for Big Jamie. Maybe just whatever else she has to say, allow that to be said, even if it's just a thank you and I love you, whatever it is.
I'm not mad at you. I was just afraid. And I know you were too. Not your fault. You're human. You're human.
Now take the position of Big Jamie once more.
Okay.
Just feel little Jamie just closer to you. Just feel, whether it's holding hands or it's like you feel her little head resting against the side of your leg. Just feel her calm in you. Feel her heart open. Feel the warmth of how loving she is. Feel how much her warmth and love expands as she feels less afraid because she's with you. And you're both holding hands. Just feel how much calmer she is and how much more loving and feeling she is as a result, like a flower opening, so all the fragrance can come out. And just feel how more aligned and integrated you are in this present moment. Ego, soul, little Jamie, how they're all integrated together more, in harmony. Nothing demonized. Now, as this big Jamie, feeling this integration more, keyword, feeling this integration more.
Yeah.
Respond back to little Jamie.
Right.
Can just be a thank you. Something else, whatever comes up that you feel is important to share.
I miss you.
And tell her what beautiful aspects of her have been missed.
I miss your silliness. I miss your sense of humor.
But now I don't need to miss them anymore because we're together again forever.
But now I don't need to miss them anymore because we're together forever.
And we don't need to be afraid of God thinking that's wrong, because that's not what the truth of God is.
And we don't need to be thinking that.
We don't need to be afraid of God thinking that that's wrong.
And we don't need to be afraid of God thinking that's wrong.
Because our soul has told us what the truth of God is. We've felt that. So we don't need to hide who we are anymore.
We don't need to hide who we are anymore.
Just anchor into the moment. Just feel. You can keep your eyes open. You can shut them, whatever you feel like. Just feel both of you hugging each other with so much love. Not so tight that you're suffocating each other, but just in a way where you know that, just like friends that are reconnecting again and are consciously choosing to be with each other always. Feel that harmony and integration come back in, and then see your soul and that love of soul. Source love without conditions, hug both of you and have you both held always. Just feel that integration. And feeling that love and integration, visualize it, whatever color, light, or energy, whatever form you visualize it as. Visualize it permeate every aspect of your physiology, every strand of your nervous system, every single cell in every part of your body. Allow that expansion of love, the decrease of fear, the expansion of love. Allow that to carry the message to every single aspect of your physiology, every strand of your nervous system, every cell in your body. allow the message of it's safe to feel to be carried and permeate every single aspect of you. Allow that to pump out through with every single beat of your heart. Little Jamie feeling safe, the love of your soul, you all integrated together. That's anchored into the truth of your heart. And with every single beat, that message is pumped to every single part of your body. Just rest in that. Again, it's a process. This will be a daily thing. Just being in that presence and anchoring to it. It's a process, but that is the reality. That's the reality now. Allowing every beat of your heart to carry that message. Just staying with that consistently, minute by minute, day by day. Your physiology will align to that.
Back to feeling nothing.
Like I said, it's a process. Your body needs to catch up.
Okay.
This is a consistent thing.
Okay.
But that was real.
That was pretty amazing.
And again, like, just how a habit takes time to rewire. Someone writes with their right hand for a long time. Switching to the left hand is going to be very challenging. Or maybe a more simple analogy is using their knife and fork in a particular way.
Right.
Switching it around, it's going to take a little while. It's going to feel a little bit off for a while. Thoughts and perception, which the body then reflects chemically and neurophysiologically, is the same. New perception, new behaviors, and then the repetition of the behaviors anchors in a new pattern, which includes feeling as well. But the perception is what is the root of the physiology. It controls the physiology primarily.
Okay.
The physiology can influence psychology, but when we're thinking about it in this way, the dominant perception someone has of themselves will be reflected in their physiology. So just how we were diving in, if it's unsafe to feel for whatever reason, the physiology will reflect that. So now, addressing the perception, which is what we were doing, and how we were doing that, the consistency afterwards is now seeing the behaviors that someone was doing, and then making adjustments that are in accordance with the new perception. For example, the things that one does or did that they loved to do that allowed them to feel, consistently doing those things a little bit each day. And that includes just how one thinks about things. It can just be, again, doing what's manageable. If what's manageable is spending 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening just sitting with eyes closed, feeling that little version of us and our soul, that presence there, just thawing a bit more of that ice and pumping that message to every part of us, it's safe to feel. Not trying to feel like, oh, must feel, because then we're in our head trying to make something happen.
Right.
We don't need to do it that way. It's just being with that aspect of us and just saying thank you. Because even what's going on, it's not wrong. It doesn't mean it's what we want to stay. But we're not trying to fight ourselves or see ourselves as wrong for being in any particular space.
Right.
And that's what allows us to move through it. Because when we can bring love to all parts, we're bringing love to all parts, and in order to bring love, we need to feel. And so the more we bring love to whatever situation, the more we're able to just feel, and the more we can get past it, because we're not going to be locked up in judgments of it should have been this, it should have been that, must feel, this isn't good, this is it. We're allowing what is to be. Doesn't mean we keep it, but we're not judging ourselves for it being the way that it is right now.
Which I've done a tremendous amount of. A lot of self-judgment over my feelings.
Which again, to bring grace to it, grace and love, it's very challenging for anyone that's 7 to know any other way. Especially with that, especially hearing those kinds of words from an adult.
Yeah.
So it's really important to bring love to those parts of us. Like, it's okay. It will adjust. Conscious awareness to it. Now the calibrations can start to happen. Just a simple thing, resting with that presence. That it's just simple, resting with that presence. Even if it hasn't changed right, like physiologically just yet. Thank you, soul. I know you're there. Thank you for the awareness. I am aware of this. It's not unconscious anymore. I can feel the amount of not feeling, which is still feeling consciously. So right. As I feel more, I will be aware that I'm feeling more. So now I have an experience of both sides. Thank you. And I know that I will be doing the things to help assist that.
Okay.
And that is more important than it just happening straight away.
Yeah. I just wish it would happen straight away.
I understand.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And if you want the answer to that, you can pose that question to yourself, like, why can't it just happen straight away? Like, so whenever you have these moments, you can just use that mechanism and you'll get some really, really deep answers. They'll sound simple, but there's a lot of depth to them.
Okay.
As well. Like, ice doesn't thaw immediately, but it does thaw. And sometimes there are things that we consciously can't understand, but there's a reason for the timing. Like, sometimes the timing of something needs to be a certain way, because if it was a different way, it wouldn't actually be as helpful to us. And our soul doesn't exist on linear time the way that the humanness of us does.
Okay.
So what can seem like I need it to happen immediately, that can also be where the gift is as well.
Ooh, excuse me. Sorry.
Don't worry, that's not uncommon after this. But that I want it to happen, I wish it would happen immediately. That can also be the invitation to just relax into gratitude for the awareness that one does have in the present moment, knowing that that awareness of feeling and the feeling will continue to expand day to day.
Okay.
And again, like there's that humanness, there's the physiological aspect, like it's the perceptions can change, but it's also important to really anchor it in and embody it slowly with the nervous system too. Because if we take the time to really care and nurture all aspects of ourselves and allow the time, then it won't revert back. It's a similar principle as like someone having an injury and trying to, I wish the physiotherapy would be done immediately.
Yeah.
But then when someone's on the other side of it, they really understand the process, so they're aware of how to not allow it to go back to that place as well. And again, like maybe it didn't seem like it to you at this present moment, but there was definitely more feeling there than the first time that we spoke.
Oh, for sure. I feel like I'm really feeling desperate and horrible lately, so really wanting to reconnect to myself and my emotions.
And you've definitely been doing that. There is a third aspect to this. Again, like I understand that it can be quite intense and can be a little bit tiring to do, so we don't have to go through the third one. So the third one, and again, there's a reason for the order. The reason why the little version of us comes second is because aspects of us can become distanced or fragmented when we have a developmental disruption at a certain point. Often happens quite young, sadly. But when we have those, aspects of ourselves can get sort of fractured off, but they tend to stay the age at when they were split off.
Okay.
So that's why, like, you know the saying as an adult, like, what are you, 12?
Yes.
That's what that is. Because an aspect of ourselves can get split off, but it stays the age at when it was split off. So when it flares up in times of stress, one will adopt the same kind of feelings, posture, tone, rationality or not of that time.
Okay.
But the way that we bring that in is doing what we just did. We take the perspective of the aspect that was distanced. How we did. Taking the first person perspective. That is how it's brought back in. I could give you a real technical explanation, but I don't know if it's needed at this moment. But the reason why the little version of us comes second is because any little person goes less on words and more on feeling.
Right.
Every little person in that tends to just feel scared and wants love and wants to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
That if one isn't anchored in and brings that sort of light and love of the soul, which is essentially the kind of parental love that most of us felt like we needed when we were younger and didn't get from parents, usually. If that's not there, that younger aspect of us may not be able to feel safe enough to come back in. And that's why that aspect comes first, and then the little version comes second.
Okay.
And then the third part is where now, when we're more anchored in, now we start to deal with individual emotions. So maybe if someone's got an emotion that's too distanced from them, like maybe they're angry all the time, but they've disowned it, so it's their anger but they're not admitting to it, or it's anxiety, for example. Now what we would do is put anxiety in the chair, or anger in the chair, or fear in the chair.
Okay.
And integrate that. So essentially, if we think about all these different parts of ourselves, of our psychic anatomy, that can get distanced and fractured off and dissociated, it's bringing them all in, but there's a specific order to bringing them in, so that each time we bring something in, we feel more coherent. Just how, like, if someone was like, how do I do this type of haircut? You would probably be able to tell them there's a specific order that they would need to go in.
Yes.
As opposed to, no, don't do that first. You need to do this first, because doing this first allows you to do this afterwards, etc. Like there's a reason for things based on how hair works. Well, you would know that a lot more than I would, because I don't really need to think about hair that much, as opposed to zip it off my head. But it's a similar principle. There's a reason for the order. Because if someone just jumps into the emotional side of things, but the ego hasn't felt connected to that stable, loving presence, it can feel too scared and not want to get rid of stuff, and then like the little version of us can. Are you kind of seeing how, like, where the sort of wires can get crossed?
Yes.
A bit. So, again, I'm not saying that we should do this, but I do have one question about this third part. Is there a particular emotion or thing that you feel is most prominent? For some people, it's anxiety. For other people, it's fear. For some people, it's anger.
What is mine? Don't know. I really experience a lot of nothingness.
Okay. So if you would like, if you feel like you've got the energy to do it, because there's just one more thing after this, but it's not the same. It's just the last thing would be just doing another mandala quickly. But if you would like to, we can put nothingness in the chair.
Okay.
Okay. So,
okay.
So just anchor in. So just breathe deeply. Anchor in. Breathe into your soul. Feel little Jamie there. Safe. Not feeling scared. She's feeling safe and held and loved by your soul and you. And your soul has its arms around both of you. So now, when you feel ready, the warmth of that love just permeating. When you feel ready, just open your eyes, look in the chair, and just see and visualize the nothingness, whatever its form, because it's not actually nothingness. Just see it there. And also see how it was just trying to protect you. So what I'd like you to do now, we're going to do a similar thing, but the first thing that I would like you to do is using third person pronoun, so it's talking about something, not directly to it. Just talk about the nothingness. Hi.
Oh, that is so funny. He's trying to find you behind the phone. That was hilarious. Okay, so try to find me behind the nothingness. Is that what you said?
No, just visualize the nothingness.
I did do that.
Because it's not actually nothingness. And also just see the nothingness for how it was just trying to protect you.
Okay. I'm seeing a bunch of words in the nothingness.
Yeah. And if it was actually nothing, there would be no words. So it's not actually nothing.
She's so curious. She really is trying to get to you in the phone. She's putting her paw behind the phone to see if you're behind it.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
So funny. Oh my God.
You have beautiful eyes.
Right? She's pretty. Okay, so
just feel into your soul. Just feel into that deep part of you. Just visualize the nothingness there. And also just see it for what it was doing. Just trying to protect you. Now speak about it. This doesn't have to make sense. Like, it could just be like the nothingness has been here for a while. I don't want it to be here now. I'm not sure of whatever. Speak about it. Whatever you feel about it. Just say that.
Well, seeing is shame and guilt and hurt and pain and heartbreak and all the harder things that are to deal with in the nothingness.
Speak about that. Speak about how you feel about that.
I know it was just trying to protect me.
You're getting nudged out of frame now.
Crazy cat. You kitty. Crazy kitty.
This is God saying, "Stay playful." I
Yeah.
hear the message. We can still do it while having a chuckle. So keep speaking about it.
I feel that it was a means of an escape.
Means of escape. I'm right there with you. Keep going.
Yeah, means of an escape. To try to get out of what I was dealing with. I really hate it. I really hate the nothingness. It was also a way to escape my anxiety. Because I didn't want to feel that either. But I know I have anxiety and I need to address it.
Is that related to God? Or your son?
Both.
Okay. Was the root in God and the exacerbator what happened with your son? Or were they slightly different for each?
They were different.
Okay. So what is it that you want in relation to the nothingness now?
I want the nothingness to go away, and I want it to be replaced with the things that I need to deal with, feelings I need to feel.
And you feel safe enough to feel them.
I do feel safe enough to feel them.
So what I'd like you to do now is, taking the second person perspective, speak to the nothingness in the chair.
Like you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
State how you feel, but bring the love and wisdom from your soul as well.
Okay.
But again, what you want and need is important and allowed. But bring the understanding of what it was trying to do to it as well. Like,
Okay.
I love you for trying to protect me, but I need to deal with this now. I don't need you to do that. I'm a big girl. I'm a woman. I can handle this. Whatever it is. Those are my words. Change them as you need.
Okay.
Whatever you want to say to it.
I do.
Keep your eyes on the chair.
Thank you for protecting me. But it's too much protection. I don't need that much protection. It's too much. I want you to allow me to feel those feelings that I need to feel. Because I am safe in my body.
With my soul and little Jamie, we're safe. We can handle this.
I can handle this. I can handle this.
It's time.
It's time to move on.
So now take the position of the nothingness. And allow the words that are in there, because it's not actually nothingness, respond as the nothingness. You may need to go back and forth in dialogue here, so don't judge what comes up.
Okay.
Take the position of the nothingness and respond.
The nothingness is you need me. You need me.
So now come back to Big Jamie and respond to that.
I don't need that. Don't need you.
I appreciate what you were trying to do, but I don't need you now.
I don't need you now. I need to feel the pain and that happiness and the sorrow and the grief and the anger.
Because all of that isn't bad. All of that is just a reflection of how much love and compassion I have.
Because all of that is not bad. It's an amount of love and compassion I have.
That is something that I want to share with the people that I love so dearly and with everybody else that I come into contact with.
And that is something I want to share with everyone that I come in contact with that I love.
And so I can support my son.
And so I can support my son. And my other kids too who need me.
So I've got this.
So I've got this. I can do this.
I have my soul as support.
And I have my soul as support.
Which means that the truth of God has my back.
Which means the truth about God has my back.
That means that there's nothing that I can't handle.
That means there's nothing that I can't handle.
Because even if it's too much, I can ask for help.
Because I can always ask for help if I need it.
So now take the perspective of the nothingness.
Okay.
What came up?
I understand.
If there's anything else that wants to come up from it, let that be shared. If not, then come back to your perspective and respond to what the nothingness just shared.
Okay. That it was understanding.
Is there anything else coming up from the nothingness?
No.
Come back to yourself and respond to the I understand.
Thank you.
I'm glad you understand, but I also need you to go.
Thank you. I'm glad that you understand, but I also need you to go.
I'm asking you to go now.
I'm asking you to go now.
So now take the position of the nothingness.
Okay. That's funny. I heard hasta la vista. That was funny.
Now come back.
I think it was pissed.
Now come back to yourself. Speak
Okay.
to it in response.
Sayonara. But I'm hearing sayonara. That's it. That's all I have left in there.
Sometimes that's all that's needed. Think about it like a line of dominoes. Domino 1, domino 20. Domino 20 is not going to be impacted right away, but we've now set something in motion.
Okay.
So the final thing for this, because if nothing else was coming up, that's generally a very good sign.
Okay.
Because and again, like these aspects of us that can be like that, there are aspects of us that are part of us. So think about the structure of a house. There are things like the walls, the beams that hold the roof up. They're an innate part of the structure. We can think about those as, say, like our emotions. They're out of balance. They need to be brought back into balance, but they're part of us. There are other aspects that can be part of our psyche that are more like empty food wrappers lying around on the floor. Those aspects need to be brought back in and then thrown out. So there's a slight difference there. For example, anxiety. Think about that like a smoke alarm. It's really helpful when it's working well. It's not helpful if it's going off at random times completely out of context for the situation.
Right.
So using this mechanism, we can bring those things back into balance, or we can bring those things back in so we can chuck them back out fully like a food wrapper. Depends on the thing. So if you would like to, we can do that with anxiety as well, if you would like to. Again, like I understand that it can be quite tiring. We've been speaking for an extended period already, but if you would like to, then we can do that, and then we can move on to just doing the like closing it out. But if you would like to do that, then we can.
I think I'm exhausted.
That's all right. That's all right. So again, it's a lot. Like it's not a trivial thing doing this. Like I understand the drain. I also wanted to make sure that I gave you enough time so that experientially you felt what this process is. So
absolutely.
Because I will be sending an article that kind of details this process so that but because you've done it, when you read it, it will make felt sense because you've already felt it as well. So I wanted to make sure that as we sort of concluded this, things didn't feel like half finished for the session. It felt like energetically, it felt like there was a clear sort of resolution point. Not necessarily everything's done, because as I mentioned before, it's definitely a process, and then it's all of this stuff needs to be anchored into the body. Just again, not in complicated ways, but just the consistency of being with this aspect of ourselves, and then allowing our behaviors to orient themselves in accordance to this new perception that we now have, the new perception of God, which allows one to not feel like we need to hide ourselves in the light of day. It's safe to feel all of these other things. Now that can anchor in terms of behavior. Well, if it's safe to feel, well, what was I hiding before? Oh, maybe I was doing that. Okay, I'm going to change that. Okay, and then the consistency of the habits comes in. And then after a certain period of time, then it anchors into the body.
Okay.
So, and especially like the nervous system itself, the nervous system takes a little bit of time. Just the physiological nature of being human. It takes a little bit of time to get it back. But without the perception shift, it will not stick.
Okay.
So, because the body will always reflect the dominant perception. And if the dominant perception is like fear, or I need to hide and I can't handle this, like, or the nothingness, I'm needed, so I'm obviously needed, so I can't go anywhere. If that hasn't been addressed, then the physiology doesn't even have the permission to actually start to heal that now. So whatever, it's almost like you try and get the nervous system to start feeling, and then because of the perception, it just goes right back. And then it's like one step forward, one step back, one step forward, one step back. Whereas now, one step forward is going to stay there. And then each step further will consistently build.
I feel like it's taken a long time just to get to where I am now. Like, years.
But that's progress still. So even though it's been a while, it's really helpful to allow your, again, perception change. Glass is always half full now. It may have taken a while, but that's still progress, and that matters. And I'm allowed to feel proud of that. Even so, just finally, for a couple of minutes, let's just do another little one.
Okay.
Which is, and I'll do it with you.
All right.
Which is now, how do we feel? And then put a colon, and then put Big Jamie, Little Jamie, soul.
In one big circle?
So do the big circle and then just write the title in the corner. How do we feel now? How do we feel? Big Jamie, little Jamie, soul. Without the nothingness. Because it said hasta la vista, which I think is hilarious.
It was really funny.
I can't remember. Was that a Terminator movie? That was from Arnold Schwarzenegger voice. Oh my days, that's hilarious.
It was pretty funny. Hasta la vista.
How's your sense of humor? So I'm just sort of quickly going through this. More just to kind of illustrate a point in contrast to the other one. So you can take another minute if you want, or if you kind of channel through what's coming through, then that's fine. You doing a bit more?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Right. So that was the first one. So you see the two hearts here.
Yeah.
And in terms of like chakra colors, green is the fourth, giving and receiving love, and violet is typically the sixth chakra. So that's more your sort of the spiritual connection. So fifth is at the throat. It's more communication,
okay,
which is what was surrounding here. So what I was feeling was there was a little bit of distance between like your loving heart and that sort of connection to spirit, but the distance was more based on that perception. So what I did now, just quickly, was I felt like the two hearts were overlapping.
Oh, cool.
So that was my 1 minute attempt at showing two hearts hugging each other.
All right, mine is pretty much the same as this one. This one was my first one. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
I think you did.
Yeah.
And then I was alone on the beach, and it was sad. And then on this one, I'm not alone on the beach. It's me and and that's my soul. And there is more sun, but we're still a little in the dark.
Look how much fun you lot are having, though.
I know, we're having a ball.
I love that. So what I'd like you to do just quickly is just make a note on the side of each one.
Okay.
Before, like, beginning of session, and then state how state how you're feeling. Like, you can put the date, like 2nd of December, 3:30 p.m. No, 10:30 a.m. for you. Then just state the perception. And then when you've done that one, just do the same thing on the other side, but the perception from, like, through a positive lens. So on this, on the second one, after session, 1:30 p.m. I think. Yeah. And then
it's one exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, we weren't in linear time just there. The time has whizzed by.
It did go by fast. All right, so I'll hang on to these.
Yeah, so just the second one, just make sure that, like, as you wrote that perception, it's like the glass is through a positive lens. The glass is half full.
It definitely was.
Yeah. And that was just, it's really beautiful to see. I just want to say, like, I really appreciate you trusting me to support in this way. I really want to thank you for being willing to go there, because it's not easy. I really understand that it takes a lot of courage to connect with these aspects of ourselves. So I just want to see you and recognize you for that. And I also see and appreciate how big and loving your heart is. And I know that everybody that you come into contact with, including me, benefits from that. So even though things may seem somewhat bleak at times, there is always hope. Because the soul is there. The soul and hope are synonymous. So yeah, I just really appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to spend with me, because I really need help.
Yeah, my pleasure. And, like, that's the thing. It's always within us.
My mom just popped in.
Oh, okay.
Are you done? She's fine. She's gonna go somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I really need the help, and I'm just very grateful for you for taking time with me. I feel very lost most of the time.
It's a place that I've been in as well. Like, I've really been there too. It's been, like, everybody's journey is different, so how it manifests is different depending on the person, but the kind of, like, intensity of just what the fuck is going on.
Yes, that's how I feel.
Like, I have really been there as well, and what I'm sharing, I've lived through in my own way. So being on the other side of it now, I understand what that feels like in terms of being in that place. So, like, you've got, like, I really understand, and it's okay. Like, it doesn't mean that you're broken. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It's just some things that need to get cleared away, but there's lessons in the clearing. There's lessons in all of it, and the wisdom and the love is always within us, and the power to do all of this is always within us. So this process is, as we go through it, the more it just seems like a cleaning process, as opposed to trying to find something outside of ourselves.
Right, exactly, because that doesn't work.
Because it's also it doesn't work because it's not true. Not to say that there's anything wrong with it. It's just not the way that we are. This is our innate nature. It's
Right.
just the humanness, the muckiness of being human gets layered on top. But there comes the lessons as well. And then even in the challenges and even in the pain, the wisdom that we have on the other side of it, we can still find some sort of gratitude for, without compromising on the humanness of that was still horrible. I wouldn't wish it, but I wouldn't wish it for anybody or myself again. But what I know now on the other side of it means that I can help and inform my life going forward in a particular way that I wouldn't have been able to do. For example, in my own journey, what I went through with my sort of family dynamic, had it not been that way for such a long time, and like in hindsight, I wouldn't be able to hold space for other people in the way that I can. So in terms of what I went through, this is how it felt right for me for it to show up in my next phase of life, which is what this is and what the Facebook group is and the sort of business structure that I'm building around this.
Right.
Going forward to help as many people as I can. That was what was right for me. For other people, it depends on the person. It's not to judge any of it. It's enough to just be that, walk down the street. Whatever's right for the individual. The wisdom that we have on the other side of these things will inform our next phase of life. And it's just, it's not easy, but I really see you for doing that. And it's not something I take lightly to be able to support people in this way. So, I really appreciate it. I see you, and I'm here consistently.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. So just keep me updated, and any questions, just let me know.
Okay, I'm sure I'll have a gazillion questions for you.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay.
And have a wonderful rest of the day, however you're spending it, and I'll send that article over. So and just the practicalities of now, I would say journaling a little bit, defining for yourself defining these new perceptions now, and then just getting clear on what that tangibly looks like in terms of how the sort of way that you live day to day, those little slight adjustments you can make.
Okay.
And then just start to embody them. Yeah.
All right, I can do that.
Cool. All right. Well, let me know. Keep me updated, and any questions, I'll send some answers through.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll speak soon.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.